massive Shadow Fleet tankers were quietly waiting to load millions of barrels of oil. Suddenly, an unprecedented anomaly appeared on the screen of a Nebo M long-range VHF radar station hundreds of kilometers to the south. Exactly more than 70 unidentified signals with low radar cross-sections were heading toward Russian airspace. The source of these signals extended up to 1,000 kilometers, and their potential payload totaled over 3 tons of high explosives. At the Leningrad Oblast Air Defense Command Center, sirens began to wail when the data was confirmed by the 91N6E Big Bird wide-area surveillance radar. The foundations for this operation were laid months earlier in a planning room in Kiev. However, the 1,000-kilometer range was a problem in itself. But the real obstacle was the Russian air defense network, known even by NATO standards as an anti-access area denial A2/AD bubble, which was deployed along this entire range. Russian generals were calm. This was precisely the moment their systems were designed for. Russia's 3-layered, integrated air defense network kicked in flawlessly. The 92N6E gravestone engagement radars of the S-400 batteries around St. Petersburg began locking onto targets one by one. At lower altitudes, Pantsir S-1 batteries met approaching targets with a wall of steel, unleashing the hellish fire of twin 2A38M 30mm cannons capable of firing 5,000 rounds per minute into the sky. However, the chaos the Russians witnessed was not a random attack. It was a massive, geographically precise deception plan. To draw the Russian defense umbrella away from Primorsk, waves of decoys were specifically directed at the villages of Sevolosk, Tosno, Pokrovskoye, and Uzmino, as well as the Lomonosov district in Leningrad Oblast. At the same time, the districts of Volosovsky, Tosnensky, Gachinsky, Lomonosovsky, and Pushkinsky in St. Petersburg were also targeted, completely drawing the attention of the most powerful S-400 batteries. In an air defense shelter in Gachinsky, a young Russian lieutenant, seeing the last target in his sector disappear from his screen, passed his routine report to the command center. "Sector clear, all targets destroyed." This report, as it climbed up the chain of command, led the generals to the biggest mistake of their careers. What they thought was victory was actually a trap. For this complex plan, more than 70 drones were assigned to the Leningrad and St. Petersburg region. Of these, 35 AQ-400 Scythes were tasked with luring St. Petersburg. The remaining 40 drones formed the main force that would spread across the Leningrad Oblast. At the heart of this force were 15 UJ-26 Bober ERs, tasked with attacking the port of Primorsk. The success of the plan depended on some of the 40 drones heading for Leningrad